Welcome to PSTV's 2022-2023 Character Creation Contest. Here are this year's contestants. Farron Webb, Carver Engineering and Science, 7th grade.
Farron got a job as a lab assistant, more specifically, an assistant for someone she admired deeply, Alfred Octavius, a nuclear physicist. She was joyful when she was accepted. She hummed happily as she walked to the lab, excited to finally meet the man she had idolized since high school. When she entered the lab, she immediately saw him hunched over a desk, working on something. She hung her bag up and didn't dare disturb him. "Ah, welcome, Miss Webb," she yelped when she heard him speak. Seems like he had put his stuff down and looking at her. She waved slightly and spoke. "Good morning, Dr. Octavius." He smiled gently and got up, stretching slightly, and took a few steps toward her. "Let me show you to your desk, Miss Webb." She nodded and followed him when he started walking. The lab was big and spacious, their steps echoing. Soon she had gotten settled in and prepared for her first day. She thought for a moment of what she could try and do. He had told her she's free to work on anything she wants to for the first 2 weeks. During those 2 weeks, she had figured out how to make a symbiote. It was indeed living and responded to anything it felt. If she touched it, it squirmed slightly. She figured it could use a few touch-ups and decided to make it her own project. Months of trying to make the perfect symbiote, it had worked. Finally, she had also been growing a few feelings for Alfred over the months. She couldn't let them distract either of them, though. He was working on his own project with her assistance, of course. They succeeded. They both had thought he had made a successful fusion reactor. She was beaming when she saw the miniature sun in the containment. It all happened so quick. It was successful 1 second, and then there was a containment breach. Everyone in the room started panicking and evacuating. She yelled at Alfred to shut it off, but he didn't. She didn't even notice the glass shards coming towards her. When she did, she didn't have time, only enough to cover her head and torso with her arms. Alfred yelled something, but she didn't hear him. All she saw last was seeing him getting electrocuted before falling unconscious. She had woken up in a hospital, groaning as she rubbed her head. She felt bandages on her forehead. Why was she here? Why can't she remember anything that happened? All she had remembered was a blur. She didn't even remember who her family or friends were. Who was she?
Adolphus Ney, Carver Engineering and Science, 7th grade.
Another Sunday, another day at a Liberian church. Adolphus was sweating from his preaching, which is very, very strong. Adolphus sat down on his couch and turned on the football game. But then he got interrupted by Varney, his 9-year-old son. Being scared, Varney wanted to show Adolphus his report card after he's been hiding it since Friday. Adolphus discovered that Varney got an A+ in physical education, but he didn't do so good on the rest of his subjects. Adolphus, being the mellow person that he is, didn't care and knew that Varney can do better. Varney then showed the same report card to his mother by 2 and got corporally punished for it.
Faye Cadell, Carver Engineering and Science, 7th grade.
Faye hadn't been outside in a long time, but the Miami streets are always so hot. She finds out that someone was moving next door, so she decides to go and talk to her. After talking to the girl for a while, she finds out her name is Anaya. Anaya asks Faye, what school does she go to? And Faye told her she is homeschooled. So far, Anaya enjoyed being around Faye, so she asked her if she could go to the school that Anaya was soon going to attend. Faye made a big decision to start going to school, doing more work and waking up early. On the other hand, at least she is able to see Anaya every day. So she decided to go to school, and Anaya was so happy, and her and Faye ended up being best friends.
Ison Phoenix, Carver Engineering and Science, 7th grade.
Ison stretched as he woke up from his cave and saw all the monsters he had killed the previous night. As he looked around, he saw a portal glowing a bright neon blue, the same color he had. And if what he was seeing was the truth, that'd mean that there was someone out there that was as strong as him. He walked through the portal, hoping to befriend them, as no one would go near him. But when he got there, he saw his home, Earth, which he had not been able to visit for 283 years, since he had reached such a high level and been appointed to kill the monsters of this world. He would have been excited, except they looked wary of him. That was when he had realized that they were all in the situation that he had once been in years ago, when he had been chosen to become the protagonist of this world. He tried to make peace with them and tell them that he was on their side, and as he saw the demon that led him to become who he is now, tell them that he was the villain. He had finally realized that he had been tricked and they weren't going to listen, and he encased himself in a prison in an attempt to protect them as he felt the demon start to control him.
Ace Sylvester, Carver Engineering and Science, 7th grade.
It was a dark Saturday in the summer of 2024. Ace walked into the house tired. He had just finished jogging at the park. He walked to his room carefully, making sure not to wake anyone up. As he walked into his room, he saw a folded note on his bedside table. He walked over carefully and inspected the note before picking it up. It had his sister's name on it. There are still spies out there, he thought. They know how to get their way. He unfolded the note and it read, I left dinner for you in the fridge. Just heat it up and it would be fine. Your sis, Serafina. He smiled as he read the note. It was only 8 months since he had reunited with his family. It was nothing like his terrifying and bloody past. He was very happy knowing what it was like to care about someone. He walked to the fridge, warmed his dinner, and then went to bed with a smile on his face. The next morning, Ace woke up, brushed his teeth, and took a shower. When he was done brushing his hair, he went on his daily jog. As he was jogging, he noticed that someone was following him, and he turned left to a narrow alleyway. He had always reacted fast to any signs of danger, and he wouldn't stop now. As soon as he stopped jogging in the alleyway, he heard a gunshot, and he ducked just in time. The bullet grazed his face, but this wasn't the time to get scared. Using the advantage of the narrow alleyway, he neutralized the spy quickly, like he always did. He could tell these spies were getting stronger, and he needed to do something about it.
Zophar, Masbom High School, 12th grade.
So Zophar has a great family. His dad is Ray, his mother is Rig, and his brother is Moore. He has a tribe called the Dark Wolf. They support other tribes to fight invading Christians. His brother Moore betrayed him and ended up hurting him badly. The brother ran away, but Zophar's tracking skills helped find him. He used his shield to defend himself, but in the end, both Zophar and Moore fought to the death. Zophar appeared in Valhalla, and Odin, king of the gods, welcomed him, and the other spirits there met him and celebrated. Now he is eating and waiting for Ragnarok, another epic battle where he will return as a fighting spirit, even though the glory came at the expense of his brother.
Amberine, Masbom High School, 11th grade.
Hi guys, my name is Amberine. I'm applying for a lifeguard job at a swimming pool inside year-round. I have a feeling I won't get this job because of my height and how small I am. I really want to be hired for this position because I adore helping people with things. I truly do, but also I have a cheerleading competition the same day as my interview. I want this job because it would mean so much to me, but cheerleading is my heart and passion. I don't want to miss this year's competition because I missed last year's with a broken leg. I decided to go to my job interview and actually got hired. I start training next week. I missed the competition because this job might get me somewhere rather than cheerleading.
Hayes, Masbom High School, 11th grade.
Hayes gets a text from her boyfriend Alec asking if she wants to go to the movie theater later to see the horror movie Smile. Hayes says yes, and she has to be ready by 5. She realizes she has to work at that time and isn't sure what she should do. She thinks for a bit while listening to music and thinking of which choices she should choose. She comes to the conclusion that she can just ask one of her coworkers to take her shift for her. Her coworker says yes, and Hayes remembers that she'll owe her one at some point. Hayes gets dressed and ready for her date, and Alec picks her up at 5. She has a fun time and thinks she made the right choice.
May Chara, Masbom High School, 11th grade.
May and her best friend Millie were being chased in a dimension unknown to them. May had initiated a fight with a god nearby. The god caught up to them, grabbed Millie, and started a self-destruction process of sorts, as it knew it couldn't beat May. May had an important decision to make. Be selfish and save her friend, or be a hero and save the people in this dimension. May, being the twisted and impulsive person that she is, acted fast. She quickly grabbed her friend back and left the world, leaving it and the innocence to be destroyed almost instantly. May's friend was very unhappy with her action. However, to May, it was just fewer people to get in the way of fulfilling her own destiny. The friend, knowing she was unable to do anything, continued to follow along with May as she dominated more worlds in hope of reaching her ultimate goal, to become the universe's main character.
Julie, Fells High School, 10th grade.
Julie is driving home after her shift at the theaters. On her way home, Julie decides to stop at 7-Eleven to pick up a Slurpee on a hot day in June. As she enters the store, she immediately spots her favorite brand of mint gum, 5 Star. However, despite her temporary excitement, she soon recalls her day at the dentist the day before, her smile turning downwards as she remembers her impending doom. Braces and minor cavities, they had told, shocked Julie. All her life, she had prided herself on straight white teeth. Therefore, it had never occurred to her that she would have problems such as crowding and too much sugar. The temptation was unbearable, and a few bucks under $5 did not seem like such a hassle. However, her mom was counting on her to stick to her word and not make matters worse. After all, Julie was a responsible girl. Long story short, Julie did not get 5-star quality gum, but rather a water and a sandwich.
Lo Wen, Fells High School, 10th grade.
Lu Wen isn't there on time. Someone ends up killing the love interest as their sister watches. Lu Wen came too late. An already lifeless person laid on the ground as he reached the site. Time skip. Lu Wen sits on top of a building, holding a picture frame with his beloved, staring into the starry night. Look at how beautiful our earth is today, he mumbles, clenching the picture frame tightly against his chest, but even so, he got no response. What's wrong? Are you still mad at me for being too late? He knows he's acting deranged after all. How is he still expecting a response? But he still lets out a small whimper. Why aren't you talking? Tears sliding down his face as he lets it drop, letting out a broken-hearted sob. On top of the same building, now on a ruined earth, mere mortals, he calls them as he held the corpse of his once beloved in his arm. If you look close enough, you can see tiny strings attached to the corpse from thin air, commanding and controlling the remains. Do you like this place? Lu Wen asks, holding the puppet close to his chest, but the puppet has no response. Say you like it, he ordered, his mental state clearly deteriorating, forcing the corpse to reply as he wishes. Feeling a bit of satisfaction, negativity continues to demand for more. Tell me I'm your God, your only God. Tell me you will always love me. Although the little jig pleased him, it wasn't enough. After all, it was still a corpse being controlled like a marionette. Only the body of who was once his dearest treasure. With one last sorrowful kiss goodbye, he tears his world apart. And from then on, he travels through multiple universes to look for the one who was almost similar to his lotus. Regardless, he had already gone too far to go back to what he once was. A god driven to mere insanity and madness. No cost is too little or too late to finally feel a warm embrace, not the coldness of the body of the corpse. He was once a god of some morals, but what mercy should be left? His only goal was to obtain the one he lost back to his arms. It doesn't matter how many universes he has to travel or destroy. Nor does the time matter, as long as in the end he is able to feel the warmth of his precious lover again. His life force slowly deteriorating from being so far from his home, as the universe calls it.
Mask Black, Fells High School, 10th grade.
We found an unknown creature lurking in the school of Fells High School. It is known to appear when it gets dark out. It has red horns and a mask. The rest was all black. We decided to call it the Mask Black, as that was all we can see of it. Last time me and the staff checked, it searches for loud noises. The hearing on this creature is very sharp, and the sight is a bit weak in a way, but it can feel movement from miles. This creature rarely spoken at all. The last thing we hear from it was, "I was taken from them." We don't know what it means, but we can best assume something happened to it in its past life. As we go deeper into this, I start to think, what other creatures appear in this building while the kids are gone?
Oswald, Carver Engineering and Science, 7th grade.
Oswald was wandering on the sidewalk of his street when he saw the pier, and he went to go do one of his favorite hobby, flying over the ocean. As he soared, he was watching his favorite cartoon, Inky Dinky, when his girlfriend called. Honey, come home quick, she said, excited. Alita, what? My dad came back with the milk. You never got to meet him. Alita was out of breath, and Oswald said, Alita, breathe air. Okay, she said. All right, I'll go pick you up. But in other news, I have to leave out of Postertation for a year because I have a business trip and it's a long trip. Why? 1 minute later, Oswald was upset. He vowed to never leave Alita. Ugh, fine, stay home. I'll fly over to meet your father. When Oswald got there, a man in purple suit. Hello, Oswald, is it? Yes, sir. It's been an honor to meet you, sir. Please call me Kwahinya Dingifine. I'm just going to call you sir. Oswald thought that something was wrong with Alita's dad, so he asked to see him inside. Are you okay, sir? I don't want you near my daughter ever. You hear? The father said. I told her to go on that trip so I can kill you. He threw a punch when Alita smashed his head with a pan. I will never leave you.
Stevie, Fells High School, 11th grade.
Castle is currently under reconstruction, and with the reconstruction, there will be people all around the castle. Stevie didn't have any problem with them because she could just hide until they all left. But they are beginning to clean the garden, meaning they are getting rid of any gunk, weeds, bushes, and even moss growing in the darkness. Seeing that the garden is her way of life, along with other bugs and animals there, she has to devise a plan to stop them from destroying her home. Stevie has avoided humans her entire life, but to save her home, she must find a human she can trust. All of her friends and the creatures in the garden are against it, but they have no other options. Stevie finds a construction worker alone in the dungeon mopping the floor. This is her chance to save her home.
Miss Slithers, Mastbaum High School, 11th grade.
One day, a young girl named Ichi walked into the classroom of Miss Slithers, the most feared and hated teacher in the Academy of Mythology and Magic. Hey, Miss Smithers, she yelled with a loud hiss. Miss Smithers stomped towards the young girl with a hateful expression on her face. What do you want, worm? She said in a nasty tone. Ichi then said, I've seen visions of you. I've looked into your future, and I see many paths that could lead to your demise. Something terrible will happen, which could lead to the shattering of that crystal on your head. Slithers chuckled at Ichi and said, Are you attempting to frighten me? I'll have your head on a platter if you say another word. Ichi, with a cross look on her face, stated seriously, one of your futures involves you being accidentally stepped on by a foreign exchange giant. Plus, the only reason I'm telling you this is because I need my sorcery credits for the year. Slithers was outraged that she had had one of her possible fates told to her by a child. Ichi explained to her, Look, I can offer you protection from every bad possible future you have in exchange for a passing grade throughout the year. Slithers was angered. She hated children more than anything, but she couldn't bear the thought of dying so many possibly painful deaths. With a long, drawn-out sigh, Slithers said, Fine, I'll give you an A in sorcery for the year. However, if you use your powers of clairvoyance to plot against me for any reason, no one will remember that you even exist. This is not a threat. This is a promise. Ichi obliged and said, Fair enough. We got ourselves a deal. Ichi reached out for a handshake from Miss Slithers, who begrudgingly gave it to her.
Jenny, Mastbaum High School, 11th grade.
Jenny was relaxing on the couch, enjoying her day off until she received a call. "Hey, Jenny, sorry to bother you, but Jane is ill, so we need someone to cover for her. I was wondering if you could take her place right now," Jenny's manager said. She was lazy, but decided, why not, since she felt bad for her friend Jane. "Sure, I'll be right over," said Jenny. "Great, thank you so much. I knew I could count on you, girl," her manager said as she hung up the phone. Jenny drove over to the studio. After hours and hours of filling in Jane's spot, the work was done. Jenny was exhausted. "I'm so glad I'm done for today. Phew!" Even though she was tired, she felt good for helping a friend out. She could have stayed home and chilled, but she didn't. Jenny's manager seriously couldn't thank her enough and was proud of her.
Mia, Masbaum High School, 10th grade. Frigid wind blew against her face, turning her skin hot and red. Today was Monday, meaning it was time to spend another 6 miserable hours at school. After walking countless blocks, Mia made it to school. Once there, she spotted Angel, her friend of 7 years and the best person in the world. A smile washed over her face. As Mia stepped towards her, she noticed something seemed a little off. Angel, who was normally energetic and talkative, seemed quiet and fidgety. "What's wrong?" Mia asked. "So before you say no, hear me out. I was thinking we should sneak out," she whispered. "And since everyone is always basically glued to their screens, I doubt they would notice." Mia felt conflicted. On one hand, it would be fun to spend a day alone with Angel, but on the other hand, she was deeply afraid of getting caught. Mia had never broken the rules before. Angel could sense her uneasiness and reassured her it would be fine. She gave in. They snuck out through one of the bathroom windows. At first, Mia felt terrified. All she could think about was getting caught, but as time went by, so did her anxiety, and she found herself having actual fun for the first time in a while. Fish sticks. Carver Engineering and Science, 7th grade. Fish Sticks was just a guy in school who had a crush on this girl named Lolly. He tried to impress her with his fishing skills, but some idiot idiot named Glasses Guy stole his girl with his manly fishing skills. So Fish Sticks started to practice fishing for 8 years until he forgot about it one day. Derpy. Carver Engineering and Science, 7th grade. Derby was just chilling in his house, having a good time, until he got a call from his friend. When he answered the call, he gets screamed at and almost became deaf. His friend Billy told him to go outside, so he did. Derby then figures out that Billy stole a spaceship from Derby's other friend, Tria. Derby thought he was going to go to space for the 7th time, but it turns out the rocket was going to be used to fly around the world. Billy literally throws Derby into the ship, seeing his other friend. Then they took off and crashed immediately. Nobody was hurt, but still traumatic. Now he has a fear of rockets. A character from Carver Engineering and Science, 7th grade. A character from Carver Engineering and Science, 7th grade. A character from the J.H. Moore School, 4th grade. A character from Carver Engineering and Science, 7th grade. A character from Carver Engineering and Science, 7th grade. A character from the J.H. Moore School, 4th grade. A character from Carver Engineering and Science, 7th grade.